Alright, today we're going to be talking about Vengeance Campaign. So, first of all, we're going to talk about the obvious. I mean, we've had, what, 3 or 4 Vengeance tests at this point, and every Vengeance test, they add more and more. Now, they say Vengeance is a test, and a lot of people are starting to feel like it's not a test. Especially with the announcement of perks and loadouts. At first, when they did the Vengeance test and it was completely alpha and there was literally nothing in it, I was like, well, okay, maybe as they keep adding stuff, it's to see what they can add before performance starts dropping and they can figure out what the issue with performance is. And then they came out and announced with Update 48 that they were looking at, the perks and loadouts. And with the addition to perks and loadouts, it makes you think like, hey, maybe Vengeance is no longer a test, and this is actually their end goal to completely replace current Cyrodiil and Grey Hosts and things like that with Vengeance Campaign. Which, by the way, now ties into my next point of the Vengeance population for this test. Now, you can make up a lot of excuses, and any excuses that you want. Oh, it's because the Undaunted event and it's empty. No, it's not true. If Grey Host was currently still here, even during the Undaunted event, during prime time, we would still hit 9 bars, 3 EP, 380, 3 DC every single day of the entire event. Just like we did day 1 of the event right before Vengeance came out. The next point is the population. I mean, is literally completely dead. The most I have personally seen is I logged into prime time on Monday, and there was 2 bars EP, 1 bar 80, and 0 bars DC. That is the most amount of people I have seen in Vengeance at one time. Every day I've streamed, and I've ended up streaming until about 7 or 8 p.m. from about 2 p.m. And I played Vengeance the entire time pretty much. So I understand this Vengeance test. I've literally played like 30 hours of it already. More than 30 hours of it at this point now, almost 40. And every day I log in, there's 0 bars. Every day I get off, we might get 1 bar EP, and that's it. The test is completely dead. You go into zone chat, and everybody is just talking about how much they don't like Vengeance and how much they do not find it fun, with a couple of glazers here and there saying, oh, I like Vengeance, and I don't play anything until Vengeance comes around. And it's like, yeah, you have about 3 players, and it's obvious there's about 3 players, because Cyrodiil is empty with the Vengeance test, and 90% of the people who are in Vengeance are the people who prefer Grey Host, but will still play regardless because of the test. However, do we really believe that those people will continue to play every day if Vengeance was the only thing? You do have to ask yourself, a lot of people will be like, hey, I like Vengeance. It's like, well, if Vengeance was the only campaign, and there was never another option to play Grey Host or Blackreach ever again, are you realistically going to play the same amount of PvP that you do now as if Vengeance was the only one that there was? The answer for 99% of the players is going to be no. So there's a big issue right there. Clearly, I hope they look at this test and realize that, hey, this is not what people want. Let's truly actually use this as a test now, and let's stop heading into this direction. The next point is the balancing issues of Vengeance. You have Nightblade number 1, Sork number 2, probably Necro 3. Everything else is basically it's like Nightblade, big gap, Sorcerer, big gap, everything else. And realistically, if you're not on a Nightblade, you're just getting rolled over. If you get in a 1v1 with anybody, obviously there's still skill involved. Obviously, Xing is possible. I mean, I've literally done it in Vengeance multiple times already. but it doesn't feel rewarding to get a 1vx in it. It really doesn't even feel rewarding to kill somebody in Vengeance. If you've ever gotten a 1v1 in Vengeance with another, even not even a really good player, just a decent player, somebody who knows how to just keep up their regeneration and their vigor. It's a very long, basically a stalemate. Maybe you're able to kill them after a 30-minute fight, but it ends up as a stalemate. A good point is Eamon earlier on his stream dueled somebody for literally 30 minutes and it ended in a stalemate. And 30 minutes is not an exaggeration. They actually sat there and dueled and fought Nightblade versus Sork for 30 minutes and nobody died. The next point is there is Resto staff is overpowered. Dots are also overpowered. Resto staff with the radiating regen, and then you pop a vigor with it, and you're getting literally 15,000 heals per second. You throw dots on, 2 dots, throw on entropy and cripple from Nightblade, and spamming spec bow off cooldown, and it's unfair to anybody who's not doing that. You're right. There's literally no variety in Vengeance whatsoever. 99% of the players are on Sork or Nightblade and nothing else. And there's really, I don't see a way for them to properly balance things in Vengeance. It's like too much of an alpha state version of ESO PvP for it to ever be balanced the way they're currently going with it. As far as suggestions, first of all, I think the better way for Vengeance would be everybody is in Torque of the Last Alien King Mythic. That way everybody has the exact same stats basically, but you can still get variety. Leave in armor weights, right? Leave in rarity. Leave in weapon traits, right? Leave in all the traits. Even if you disable subclassing and you want to go with vengeance type skills, you need to go into the old way of PvP or the old way of the game and go straight mag or stam, right? You should allow morphs, and there should be one mag morph and one stam morph. Literally, regardless of what the ability is, I believe every single one in Vengeance should have one stam morph and one mag morph. I don't even care if you're using a 2H probably. 2H might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it would be cool if that was a thing. Having different armor weights, getting to build around passives and different skills with morphs would make the game a lot more appealing, as well as leaving the game sustainable and a lot more fun. Give everybody the same recovery, right? Everybody has the same, say, 1500 base recovery. Everyone has the same 28,000 HP. And then depending on the armor you put on with the traits and all that good stuff, then, your stats can slightly go up and down. If you want to add glyphs, add glyphs. I think glyphs would be a good idea as well. But I do feel like there's a better way to do Vengeance than the way they currently have. I do not think Vengeance is the correct way to go with PvP. I believe it is completely wrong, and it will basically be suicide for the entire PvP community and that whole half of the game. But if they do go with it, I do believe there's ways to balance it and make it more appealing to every player, as far as people who aren't good at the game and are casuals who want a low skill floor, or people who play a lot and want a high skill ceiling. I feel like something like that with no proc, no CP, a Vengeance style everyone has on Torque would be a lot more appealing, especially to a lot of old school players. Could bring a lot of people back. As far as how to fix PvP, obviously Vengeance is not the way. And obviously you have to start somewhere small for the devs instead of going into some grand big old thing. And my suggestion, first of all, is to save PvP, there needs to be players in it, so it's worth the devs actually being able to fix PvP, right? There's no incentive for the devs to fix PvP if there's nobody playing PvP. However, there's no reason to play PvP if the devs do not give an incentive to play PvP, which is, I believe, something along the lines as exclusive PvP rewards. For example, every month in Greyhost, the winning alliance, and only the winning alliance, will get an exclusive, that month only, limited edition, never to be seen ever again after that campaign month, cosmetic item. Whether it's a mount, whether it's a title, whether it's a skin or an outfit, or literally anything along those lines. It would incentivize people to play Greyhost, as well as play Greyhost throughout the day. Yes, Greyhost fills up at prime time. Greyhost is empty in the middle of the day. Adding that incentive, I will bet my entire life on it, will probably triple the PvP population in Greyhost. Though you will probably have bars at all points in the entire day almost. And I do think it will bring more players back to the game that have left. Second, you need to add something, a reward for hardcore PvPers. You know, people who PvP a lot. And one of those things, in my opinion, could possibly be something like an exclusive Apex Radiant mount, an exclusive Super 6 skin, and outfit and title, all for 100 million AP each. This incentivizes long-term play in PvP, right? Again, it needs to be really cool, you know, because if you just give everybody a really ugly skin and mount for 100 million AP, nobody's going to want it. If you give us something really cool, it'll incentivize longer play of PvP. Another suggestion could possibly be play for a certain amount of hours per week and get one free crown crate. That way, the one free crown crate, people go crazy over one free crown crate. I don't know why they do, but they do. Even though most of the time you get nothing out of it, but sometimes you can get something good out of it. People, when they hear free crown crate, for example, hey, play 2 hours of PvP, play 3 hours of PvP in a week, and you get one free Atronach crown crate, or whatever crown crate's out at the time. And they only have to give out one. This will not hurt their revenue of people buying crowns with crown crates. To help IC population, double Telvar weekends would be absolutely massive. I don't understand why double Telvar weekends are not a thing. I do believe that the correct way to probably go about this is once a month, you do double Telvar weekend. Twice a month, on the weekend, as they said before that they would bring back OG 4v4v4 BGs, they bring back 4v4v4 BGs twice a month on the weekend. And this way, people, the whole community as a whole, can kind of be like, okay, you know, there's actually things being done for PvP, there's incentives to PvP, and when people feel like that, people will play PvP. Another easy way for people to engage in the PvP would be ZOS hosting some type of in-game tournaments. Right now, me and Eamon are attempting to host a tournament. And obviously we're giving a bunch of gold. But an easier way, because we only have pools so big, right? If ZOS, for example, ran official dueling tourneys, you know, or they ran official BG tourneys, or official, you know, 2v2 tourneys, or whatever it is, right? It'll bring a lot of viewership and entertainment to the PvP side of the game, which will also, in turn, help PvP population overall. There is also in probably the long term, right? They do all these, say they did all these things I just mentioned, right? And the population, exactly how I said, ends up increasing massively, right? Which in turn would also bring up the monthly player total count, and probably by a decent amount as well. After all of that, maybe, as everybody's always complaining, hey, where's our new Cyrodiil map? Why can't you add anything to Cyrodiil? Well, the reason is because they're not doing it is because it's not worth it. Most of the people PvPing are PvPing in BGs. That's a majority of where PvP is being done. It's not being done in Cyrodiil. But like I said, with the incentives that you can add into people playing Cyrodiil, it would increase the population, probably increase their revenue. It's such a simple thing to do. And then in turn, it would be worth, possibly making a new map or adding things to Cyrodiil, adding new chaos weapons to Cyrodiil, or whatever it is. So my point is, whenever I streamed, I went over this. The point is when you make demands, it has to be reasonable in what you think ZOS will be willing to do, or where they'll be willing to meet you in the middle. One of the parts I believe needing to be met in the middle is something they need to start simple. We need to give them simple requests. One of those simple requests happened to be, hey ZOS, can we get an incentive to play PvP? Can we get some cool Radiant Apex mount that you have to buy to incentivize long-term play for 100 million AP? Can we get an exclusive cosmetic reward for the winning alliance in Greyhost every month? You know what I mean? Things like this will help the population of PvP and overall the game. And then once the small thing, it's like a snowball effect. The snowball starts small, they give you little, the population gets bigger, and they give you more. So, that's really all I had to say. There's a way to go about fixing PvP, and I feel like the biggest one is incentivizing players to play PvP, so then it is now worth it to fix PvP. Balancing is a total another issue that also needs to be done, but balancing can get put slightly on the back burner. You don't want to completely put it on the back burner, but with how easy it is to add those incentives that I suggested at the beginning, it shouldn't be that hard to do both. ZOS did mention they did give out a survey that I will pin as my top comment for class balancing. I encourage everybody to go and leave feedback. I left my own feedback. I even wrote it all on stream and left my suggestions. I also left them my YouTube channel as well. And hopefully they will provide, maybe they will listen to some of the feedback I have. I don't think they will. They most likely will not. They probably don't even know who I am. They probably don't care who I am. Understandable. But as with me and basically every other content creator in the game, we just want what's best for the game and what will keep the game alive. And the direction that it's going so far, and not just in PvP, but also PvE, maybe our peers are happy, but it's not looking like ESO is going to last another 10 years, like the new top dog guy said. I forgot his name. But thank you for coming to my TED Talk, guys. That's all I got to say. And leave any opinions you have in the comments.